So we're back from England and we've developed a bit of an accent. It turns out that if you're going to be British, you have to talk like this. Isn't that right, Edward?
Well, you know, yeah, you seem to have that down pat. I think there's some English blood in you.
Oh, yeah. Actually, a lot of English blood.
Yeah, Western blood.
Western England.
So if you had been born in Eastern England, your name would be James East.
We just got back from London.
Yeah. Was that London, Ontario?
London, Ontario? No, that's where I just came from.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, it's big, isn't it?
It's another world.
It's another world.
It's another world.
Yeah,
Cannabis Europa was a big event that we just attended, and the good folks at Cannabis Europa, Hanway Associates, Hanway Group, they were very hospitable. There was thousands of people there. There were a bunch of great companies from around the world. Everybody's trying to shoehorn into the emerging UK market, but it was good to go there and actually put our thumbs on the pulse, as it were.
Yeah, when I was trying to find you the one morning, they were telling me that to get in here, you need to put 1,000 pounds on the counter.
1,000 pounds on the hoof.
That's when I started really hoofing.
Yeah.
I hoofed my way out of there.
That's when you said, maybe not.
Maybe I'm not going to.
Maybe my name's on the list.
1,000 pounds, I mean.
Maybe my name's on the list as a co-host.
You spend 1,000 pounds for dinner.
1,000 pounds for dinner, yes. There were some great speakers. We had Cam Battley was there, and Aurora was the main sponsor. So
were they?
Yeah. Yeah, you know the big Aurora signs everywhere? Oh. That was them being the main sponsor.
Oh.
And then Supreme was the second sponsor. We talked to Nav. We didn't get him on camera, but big things happening there. They've launched another company that we'll talk to you about in a bit.
Yeah.
Cam, we're going to run the interview we did with Cam there. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it live because there were bandwidth issues in this South Bank Center. Yeah, but there was no broadband.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't really think they want you to be taping these things.
Well, we weren't trying to tape it. We were trying to stream it live.
Yeah.
Live to YouTube. That was the whole point. But we couldn't get there because no broadband. So next time we're going to bring our own broadband.
Yeah, they're into narrowband.
Well, we had lots of narrowband.
We had narrowband.
I think we had dial-up.
I told them, I said...
You what?
I wanted to... I thought it was narrowband we wanted. What? Was that God speaking?
Did you hear that? Where did that come from?
You know what? That's that deceased guy that's trying to get back to us.
Oh, the dead are talking to us now.
The dead.
Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead. How about Suzanne Garcia with the... Oh, no. How about the... We're not having a nurse today with the news. We're having a Merce with Fraser Toms is going to read the news today. Kiran Sidhu joins us live from... Well, not live anymore. It's now after the fact from our media center at the Cannabis Europa event in London that was just concluded. He's the CEO of Halo Labs. Halo Labs is our diamond sponsor for the next 3 months. So we'll be talking a lot about Halo Labs.
Yeah, and their production is going to get ramped up. Revenues are going to get ramped up quite quickly.
He speaks very, very highly of what's about to happen. Actually, the order's a bit wrong. Cam Battley's going to be after 3:30. So Nick Davis will be at 3:30. Cam Battley will be at 4-ish. And then we will talk to Elisabetta Faenza. She's an Italiano, but she speaks with an Australian accent because that's where she's from. She's from Australia.
Really?
Australia, yes. Anyway, she has a great company, Leafcann Group. We'll hear about that. And finally, at 4:15, George Cruz is going to be here. George Cruz is a star rugby player in England who has created, in partnership with his buddy, another pro rugby player, CBD brand called 4-5 CBD. 4-5 CBD.
Is 4-5 got something to do with rugby?
I suspect it does, but I don't know anything about the game.
I wonder if our friend Peter Cunningham
4-5 is the second row position. Yeah, but he's not here. 4-5 is the second row position in the rugby drum.
Okay.
Yeah, there you have it. There you have it. What else have we got going on? Well, we're going to take a look at some of our index companies in the cannabis index and see how that's been doing. We're going to talk a little bit about gold. Why? because gold has been acting extremely frothy lately, which is always either a sign of an imminent change or in response to an imminent change.
Yeah.
But either way, it could go a lot higher. It could go a lot lower because, hey, stocks go up, stocks go down.
But it did break out of a 6 or 7 year base.
It did.
And so that tells me there's been a change.
Sea change. If there is any change in the weather.
If there's any change in your pocket.
If you what?
If there's any change in your pocket.
Change in your pocket.
Fork it over.
I haven't actually had change in my pocket in I think it's going on a year now, where I haven't been able to use a card somewhere.
Yeah.
It's really pissing off the homeless people, but we think we should start handing out, little credit card terminals for them. But then they'd need bank accounts and all that. That might be another project. So, we've been in London for the week. We met with many interesting cannabis companies. We have some insight as to what the UK investment universe is going to look like, but it's going to be interesting. But for now, here's Fraser Toms with the news.
Here's what's making headlines in cannabis today. Cannex Capital Holding Inc. reported its financial results for its fourth quarter of fiscal 2019 ended April 30th. Loss for the current period was $48 million. Most of the loss in the current period was attributable to a change in the fair value of derivative liability associated with the $32 million Gotham Green secured convertible note financing, which occurred in November 2018. Adjusted EBITDA for Q4 2019 was a loss of $631,000 as compared to positive adjusted EBITDA of $1,911,434 in the comparative period. Revenues were $3.8 million in Q4 2019 compared to $4 million for the 4-month comparative period. Blisco Cannabis reported financial results for the first quarter and 3 months ended April 30th, 2019. During the 3 months period ended April 30th, the company incurred a net loss of $1.24 million or 1 cent per share as compared to a net loss of $2.5 million or 6 cents a share for the comparative 3 months period ended April 30th, 2018. Blisco recorded sales revenue of $742,000 during the 3-month period. Invictus MD Strategies Corp. reported financial results for the first quarter ended April 30th, 2019. Net loss was $4.6 million in the first quarter, a decrease of 68% from the prior quarter. Revenue was $1.6 million in the first quarter, an increase of 35% from the prior quarter. Hempco Food and Fiber Inc. has signed a definitive agreement with Aurora Cannabis Inc. for the acquisition of the remaining interest in Hempco Food and Fiber. Aurora has agreed to acquire all of the issued and outstanding common shares of Hempco not already owned in exchange for common shares of Aurora. Aurora currently owns 51.4% of the issued and outstanding Hempco common shares on an undiluted basis. Aurora will issue approximately 0.08659 Aurora shares in exchange for each Hempco share not already owned by Aurora. Hempco shareholders will not receive any cash in the transaction. Ianthus Capital Holdings Inc. announced that its U.S. subsidiary has closed the previously announced acquisition of CBD for Life, a national CBD brand in the U.S. Ianthus acquired 100% of the assets of CBD for Life for $10.4 million, consisting of 2.45 million common shares of Ianthus and repayment of the outstanding debt and certain liabilities of CBD for Life in the amount of approximately $2.4 million in cash. Tilt Holdings Inc. announced that its shares have been included on the Horizons U.S. Marijuana Index ETF. And that's your cannabis pot stock news for today. Happy Canada Day, everybody.
Queen without the.
So amazing country. Amazing, and Buckingham Palace, the grandeur.
Fabulous.
So here's a question. Do you think the Queen's ever smoked marijuana?
The Queen of England?
Queen of England?
Queen the band?
The band. No, of course the Queen of England. She's the, amazing monarch.
Yeah, well, what's so amazing about her?
Well, I understand that she's the longest reigning monarch ever.
Like longer than the monarch butterfly?
Ha ha ha! Monarch butterfly. No, she's been in power. She's controlled it now from about the age of 16 or 17 years old.
No.
Yeah.
So she must smoke weed.
Well, she's healthy.
Yeah. And she's down to earth.
Down
She's
to
a
earth.
woman of the people.
Yeah.
She's got that wave down, Pat.
She sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful wave.
A lot of nice buildings in London, England, aren't there?
Yeah. What do you think she drinks? Do you think she's a beer drinker?
Pretty sure she's a teetotaler.
A teetotaler?
Yeah.
Teetotaler?
Yeah.
What exactly is a teetotaler?
Someone that drinks tea.
So if I drink beer, am I a beer totaler?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, you know what? I've always wondered, what's the totaler?
Well, turns out, according to Wikipedia, teetotaler originated with a man named Turner, a member of the Preston Temperance Society.
Temperance?
Temperance.
These guys all have tempers?
No, means that they temper their enthusiasm for drink by not having any. Anyways,
Really?
he had a speech impediment.
No.
And he addressed a meeting and said that the partial abstinence from intoxicating liquors is not enough. They must insist upon total abstinence.
Oh,
So anybody from the group became noticed as a teetotaler.
oh, total. That part, total abstinence.
Total abstinence. Not partial abstinence, total
Wow.
abstinence.
Yeah, if you were a partial abstainer, then you would say you would be a tea pardoler.
Teetotaler.
Pee pardoler. Pee. Okay, well that's good to know. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of teetotalers running around in London, England, from what I could see.
No?
A lot of bars there, and you notice you can walk out and have a smoke. You can bring your beer with you.
I notice a lot of people smoke there. It seems like the smokers are in a majority. Maybe that's just an appearance, but...
Well, you know what's interesting is I was, when I got off the Heathrow Express to catch my flight, as I was walking along, there was a sign. It said, "Smoking area," in the airport.
Smoking area in the airport.
Well, it was an opening to get outside and stand outside. I guess you could smoke outside of Pearson too, right?
Yeah.
But
you can't smoke inside.
No, once you're in. But this was right there. This is
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if you could smoke weed out there. I guess not in the UK because they don't have any. They don't have any recreational. They're not even talking about recreational.
They don't even have recreational beer. Apparently, the beer over there is for serious drinkers.
Well, did you notice it looked like every time we walked by a pub, it looked like they were having a fire drill because everybody was outside standing on the drink, throwing them back. And we were like, oh, so they serve beer during fire drills here.
Yeah.
But no, turns out this is the culture in London. You go in, you get your beer, and you go out on the sidewalk and stand there jawboning with your friends and compadres and co-workers, and it's all good. You can walk anywhere in London with a beer going.
You can, eh?
Yeah.
England's citizens are ranked very highly when it comes to beer consumption per capita.
Per capita? Are you a
capita.
teetotaler?
Teetotaler.
Are you a beer totaler?
No, I've never been a totaler.
A totaler? You're a partialer?
I tried. I think I went 56 days
56 days without drinking?
without drinking last year. Yeah.
Wow.
And this year I've done I need a drink. This
Turning
year
into Porky
I've done
Pig over here.
32 days.
32 days. Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's impressive. That's impressive. Let's say hello to some of the people in our audience here. Aaron B. Hello, Aaron B. Faye Smith. Faye is a good stalwart fan. Squats Now. Don't know who that is. Don't believe I've seen them around before.
Squats
Chris Ford,
Now?
Lexus. Don't know what he means there. But
I think
hello, Chris
I
Ford.
know what that would mean.
You do? Okay.
I'm not going to say.
Shevet Keto-tastic. Bafonifi. You'd think we'd have that down by now, wouldn't you? Anyways, hello Shevet. She's a stalwart fan. Good to see you. Let's see who else is here that we recognize.
I got a question for you.
What's that?
Why do they call a quid a pound?
What do they call a quid a pound?
Or a pound a quid?
What do they call a pound a quid, or are they calling a quid a pound? Which is the original term?
Both.
Really?
The original. That's a good question. But a quid, is that like saying a buck?
Are you asking because you know the answer?
No, I don't know the answer to that.
You're actually asking an honest, genuine question.
It's usually something I know do.
Audience, can you help us? What constitutes, why is a quid called a pound? Why is a pound called a quid? Which came first, the quid or the pound?
Or is that like asking?
Anybody who can tell
Why do
us
they
wins
call a
all
dollar-
expenses paid trip to our office to hang out with us and drink.
Once you get here.
Once you get here.
We'll cover
We'll put you on the show. You'll be live.
elevator fare.
Live from Saturday night. It's Toronto. I got that backwards, didn't I? Anyways, Cam Battley. Kiran Sidhu, CEO of Halo Labs, was our sponsor in London. Is the sponsor of the show going forward, starting July 1st. And so, full disclosure, they are our client. And so, yes, they are our client. Let me say that again. They are our client. However, we've adopted a new policy: no buying stock of clients at any time during which we are having a sponsorship arrangement. Why? Because that way we'll keep ourselves out of trouble.
Right.
Anyways, here's Halo Labs CEO Kiran Sidhu at the Cannabis Europa conference in London. Kiran Sidhu joins me now. He's the CEO of Halo Labs. Kiran, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Great to see you in London. Big excitement going on with this Cannabis Europa event. Tell me about how Halo Labs is approaching the new market in the United Kingdom.
In terms of the United Kingdom, in Europe, our strategy is a little different from others. And, being a oil and concentrate producer and having a very large bulk business, in particular in California, we believe that the way that we're going to come address Europe is actually through Lesotho in Africa.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Lesotho is the kingdom surrounded by South Africa, and you've made a partnership with them.
Correct. So we've done a little bit more than that, where the largest license in Lesotho is held by Buffalo Biosciences. And what we've done is we've entered into a letter of intent to acquire 100% of Buffalo. So we are fully committed to the African strategy. So we will have, over the next year, 5 hectares of cultivation, and we'll have 100,000, hopefully 100,000 square foot extraction facility in order to provide bulk biomass and bulk distillate to the European manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. And so how much production do you anticipate from 5 hectares?
Oh, it will be, but keep in mind that, and again, what happened in the United States and what I think will happen in Canada will also happen in Europe, where now in the United States, over 60 to 65% of all cannabis consumed, be it in an edible form or a topical form, is consumed in an oil and concentrate. So the biomass ratio is somewhere between 12 to 1. So on 5 hectares, we'll probably be producing around, in tonnage, probably about 10 tons a year. But that would only entail making less than a ton of oil.
Right. So is that a footprint that you envision expanding?
Yes. And as we announced in Oregon, where we're putting up now a CBD facility, we'll be putting up also CBD production. We'll be putting up specific hemp production because our license allows us to go up to 200 hectares.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great.
And we as a company sort of literally scoured the earth on Google Maps and tried to come up with where is an ideal place where you have favorable regulatory environment and favorable labor, favorable sun and soil. And Lesotho to us is ideal, and the company we're in is excellent. Afria is there, Supreme is there, Canopy is there. So as far as publicly traded Canadian companies, we're the 4th, but we find ourselves in excellent company.
Sure. Do the laws in the United Kingdom and separately Europe permit the importation of CBD and THC in concentrated extracted format?
That's a little bit more of a complicated question. So for those countries like Germany, like Denmark, like Holland right now, Bedrocan also is putting a very large facility in Lesotho. Those countries allow it, provided that the raw biomass is grown under good agricultural practices by their definition, and the oil is made under European good manufacturing practice. And the understanding that we have is that the highest standard are the European standards. So with those standards, when Canada permits imports, Australia we know is permitting imports, you can actually go into those markets as well.
Okay, fantastic. So then what about, will you use Lesotho feedstock to supply any of your U.S. operations?
We can't do that because the U.S. is ring-fenced.
Right.
Right? Every state within the U.S. is ring-fenced.
Right.
But inevitably, as we saw just recently, the House of Representatives has passed a bill last night, and things may be turning in the U.S. But again, that's what's so beautiful about Lesotho, because we can produce high quality at a low cost that, be it the Chinese, be it the Indians, be it whoever else comes in, we'll be able to compete with them toe to toe.
Interesting. Do you think that there will be resistance to using imported CBD and THC feedstock to governments that are seeking to capture the economic opportunity?
Again, very well poised, because Lesotho is a poor country, and so they have treaties under OECD and under UN auspices that permit them tariff exemptions. So for instance, in the US, textiles that are imported from Lesotho are exempt from tariffs that we keep hearing about in the US. So that was another reason that Lesotho was very favorable to us, because if tariffs do come down, they will be harder to implement against a country like Lesotho that by nature has that OECD protection.
Sure. At what point in the timeline do you envision generating revenue from your operations in Lesotho?
We are hoping as early as Q2 of next year. Remember, we're in the southern hemisphere, so the cycle is different.
Right.
So the prime summer cycle, we're using greenhouses. The prime summer cycle starts in November, so we're hoping to put our first crop in the ground in November. And in terms of what we call offtake or demand, at this conference, I mean, there's so many people who are in desperate need of biomass to make medicinal oil in Europe that there's no lack of demand. It's an execution, not opportunity. And what we've proven in Oregon, what we've proven in Nevada, and what we've definitely proven in California is that we can execute quickly. And Lesotho to us is no different. We've had a team on the ground for 6 months now, and we're highly confident that we'll have our first crop out by Q2 of next year.
Okay, so then in terms of what's happening right now in the United Kingdom, in this earliest stage of cannabis, medical cannabis legalization, do you see the medical market moving forward fast enough that it's going to be able to uptake all of your biomass that you can produce?
Well, not the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom is lagging. But as I emphasized before, Germany, Holland, Italy, France, Malta, these are jurisdictions where now it's becoming more prevalent. Now Greece is coming on strong. So the prediction is that by 2023, and I think it was Prohibition Partners report, that European demand will exceed North American demand. And the other thing that people don't understand is Africa. It has significant demand. So New Frontier Data published reports last week on the African demand. And a lot of people, with the exception of Aurora, have forgotten the fact that South Africa has 60 million people. They have a culture that's predisposed to cannabis, and they just decriminalized cannabis. And when I was in Johannesburg recently and Cape Town, consumption cafes are popping up in the collective model of California in the early days.
Wow.
Right.
So that's a huge
It's a huge opportunity, and Lesotho's part of that common trade zone.
Interesting. So how's this affecting your outlook on your revenue going out the next 12, 24 months?
I would say that this year we still hold firm to our 48 million number with positive EBITDA, hopefully by the fourth quarter. I always get asked by investors, how are you doing? Because our growth is at 300% quarter over quarter, year over year. And, they keep asking to me, are we going to sustain it? I'm not going to comment on the quarters. All I'm going to say is that going into Q3 at the end of June, our numbers are right where we expect them to be internally.
Okay, great. Let's leave it there, Kiran. We'll come back to you soon. Thanks for joining me again.
Thanks for having me again.
Halo is the only company trading on the NEO exchange, cannabis company, so far. There's a cannabis fund.
Why was... I've never heard of NEO until I found out about...
The NEO exchange?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's there's a segment in itself right there. So remember when the LSE was trying to buy the TMX Money Group, TSX?
Yeah.
So the TSX is owned by a consortium of banks, including, I think it was BMO, National Bank, and some others. I can't remember now. I used to know the story really well. But so in response to that, the Royal Bank and some other members who weren't part of the consortium that controlled the TSX put together their own exchange in anticipation that if the LSE bid was successful, that they didn't want to be limited to only an exchange that was going to be controlled by a foreign entity.
And?
Well, the LSE bid never succeeded, and another consortium called the Maple Group, which I think included the bank. Now, I haven't looked into this in a long time, but another consortium called the Maple Group ended up buying the TSX with a superior offer, and they still own it today, and that's composed of a consortium of banks and other investors. But yeah, Halo's on track for an exit run rate of 48 million. Not So that
would mean if their year end was December 31st, so theoretically in the month of December, you would just divide 50 by 12, and that would be what sort of the revenue would be
on average.
Well, that's the run rate when we get there. Like they're saying, so that after 12 months of that kind of revenue, you're going to have a $50 million revenue company. But 12 months from there, it should be higher again.
I think it will be.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
They just made quite a big acquisition for stock, I see, a little while ago for, I can't remember the name of the company, but I think they issued about 40 million shares.
Halo.
Halo did.
Yes. What's the company?
Well, I've got it right here.
So Halo also is acquiring Bofella Life Sciences, Biosciences.
That's the company.
In Lesotho. Bofella, which is It means health, good health. Bofella in the Lesotho language.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple other interesting interviews. I sat down with the Deputy Prime Minister of Lesotho.
Yeah, and you pronounced his name perfectly.
Well, that's because I was talking to him and I said, let's practice your name a couple of times so I don't screw it up. And then I did screw it up anyways a couple of times. But his name is Manyane Mololeki. Manyane Mololeki is his name. He's the Deputy Prime Minister. He's a Cabinet Minister of Lesotho, and he's invited us to go visit them in Lesotho.
We'd be dolts if we don't go.
I know. Well, we're going to go.
There's three types of people you don't want to associate with: dolts, dullards, and dunces.
Dolts, dullards, and dunces. Boy, we check all those boxes. So we must be no fun to hang out with.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
No, we're au contraire.
Au contraire.
I'd love to go. I would love to go. You know what kind of time they'd show us there?
Yeah. Well, so we got a conversation.
Stay at the palace?
We won't stay at the palace. What makes you think there's a palace?
Because isn't there a king there?
Well, it's a kingdom. So there must be a king.
Duh.
Does he have a palace? We'll find out.
Kingdom. That's not like his name's not Kingdom.
No, it's not. But also that's our sponsor you're talking about there.
Right. No, I was talking about the word. I never thought of the word before.
Let's check in with Sadie, Mary, Elizabeth, and Tina, Who is Sadie, Mary, Elizabeth, and Tina? They are 4 ladies who I'm going to kill them next week. I'm going to kill them all. You know why?
Because you're going to smoke them.
I'm going to smoke them. Pow! Anyways, there is...
Oh my gosh, look at this.
There they are in all their glory. This is a recording from this morning.
What, you're talking to them?
Well, I'm not talking to them because I wasn't actually there this morning. I was on a plane coming back from Lesotho. No, London, England, where we were this morning.
A veritable cornucopia of color.
Yeah, so a couple of people commented and said, boy, you're not doing a very good job. The leaves are all turning yellow. And the reason for that is because we're at day 60 now.
Is your dog peeing on them?
No, it's day 60. I've been running unfertilized water through them for now 2.5 weeks. And that's to wash all the nutrients out. And so once you start washing out the nutrients and they're near the end of their life cycle, the leaves start to turn yellow. And this is when you're approaching the perfect time for harvest. Now you'll see we've got 4 different phenotypes in there, to say the least, if not 4 different strains completely. And you can sort of tell now they're really expressing their differentiation. The one in the lower right there is the skunk number 1. Or actually, I moved them around so many times, I don't know anymore. I forgot to label them.
Did you forget to label them?
Well, I didn't label them because these were originally going to be the throwaways, because I killed the first 4 because it was my first time growing in cocoa coir hydroponically. So there's a whole different approach to that, because the cocoa coir holds so much water that I killed them with overwatering. So suddenly I was like, I got to replace the original plants with 4 other ones, and I had these other ones that I kept because I was going to throw them outside after these ones were done. Whoa, I just confessed to breaking the law there, didn't I? Call the cops! Call the cops!
No, I think it's per household. And you're going to grow them in your other household.
Well, my neighbor's growing them.
Yeah.
So I'm all good. But no, so that was the plan. And then so I said, oh no, I need to get those back because I need to grow them because I killed the other ones. So we ended up with 4, and I knew they were 4 of one of a different strain each. And so, but
there's some nice looking buds on those plants. Yeah. They're looking pretty healthy.
Yes. This is the Cannatonic over here.
Cannatonic?
Cannatonic, yeah. So it's a high CBD, low THC strain. So this is your basic adult marijuana for people who don't want to get comatose or
So catatonic. I thought catatonic sort of meant
Cannatonic.
Oh no! See, I didn't know that word.
Cannatonic. It's a play on words. Cannatonic.
I'm learning a new word here.
Cannabidiol or cannabidiol, as some people say.
Cannatonic. What does that mean?
It's just the name of the strain that somebody dreamed up. It's probably some other strain.
But it's also a word in English language.
No, catatonic is the word.
Well, that's what I said. Catatonic. Well, you're saying 2 different words.
Well, Cannatonic is the name of the strain.
And catatonic is the name of your condition.
Catatonic is the condition that you find yourself in when you smoke too much THC. Or you've done too much Special K.
Okay, so catatonic is, they're trying to say, hey, no catatonic going on here.
No, when you do too much ketamine, then you're definitely catatonic.
Catatonic.
You can't move.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Then you get a kettle.
So, yes, I'm killing these beautiful ladies this weekend, having a bit of a harvest going on. Well, I don't know. I might just take down one and these 2. And I got to look closely at the buds. I haven't actually been home to see them. I've only been watching them all week on camera, but it is day 60. So they've been in bud now for 9 weeks. Well, almost 9 weeks. 63 days will be 9 weeks, so that'll be July the 3rd because I put them onto flower on May the 1st.
Right.
So then 15 days for dry and proper cure, and we'll be smoking some homegrown herb. And I thought I was growing organically, but turns out that if you're using mineral-based nutrients, it doesn't qualify as organic. But when I did use the organic nutrients in my little passive hydroponic system, disaster set in.
Why?
Because organic nutrients, anything will grow in an organic nutrient. That's why, I got algae, I got mold. It was a disaster. I had to start over.
So what you're saying is this whole organic thing isn't what it's all dreamt up to be.
Well, if you're going to grow organic weed in this kind of environment, you don't want to do it with so this is a passive flood and drain organic system. It's called autopot. It's not actually drain. It only floods. So it basically keeps this much water in the bottom pot and allows the plants to wick up just as much as they want. So you get a real concentration of roots at the bottom. And the problem, though, because the nutrient doesn't move once it gets there, it becomes stagnant. And so it becomes deoxygenized. So we've actually got oxygenation domes inside the pots that put air into the bottom of the pots. But they also are a welcome sort of breeding zone for insects. And there was some, there are some larvae in there, but they are, I believe, mosquito larvae. And so they're not really interested in the plant. The plants have had no sign of any pest. So,
Pestilence?
yeah, we're going to be smoking the old Midas Letter marijuana soon, Ed.
You're going to try and make it a recognized brand?
No, we're not. We can't sell it. We don't sell.
Well, you don't have a license.
Well, I don't have a license, and I'm not in the cannabis business.
Okay.
I'm not an LP. I'm an LP with.
Well, you are in the
formats.
cannabis business in a sense.
Well, in the media side.
Yeah.
In the financial side, in the investment side. Anyways, we also spoke to a gentleman who is the movingest, shakingest lawyer in the cannabis space in London. Nick Davis is the CEO of Memery Crystal LLP, and here's my conversation with him. Joined now by Nick Davis. He's the CEO of Memery Crystal. Nick, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you in my fair town.
You bet. With horrible traffic.
Horrible traffic.
Tell me what Memery Crystal's all about.
We're a law firm, despite the name. We are probably the preeminent law firm in London in the cannabis space, the nascent developing cannabis space.
So you're now going to be inundated with calls from Canadian promoters who watch this.
Oh, that was about 12 months ago.
Was it?
No more, please.
Right. Okay, so tell me, from your perspective as founding sort of legal firm in the industry, how did this industry come to be so quickly after I can't remember who the politician was who said there will never be legal cannabis in the UK?
So look, I've spent the last 15 years working in international capital markets, and particularly Canada, helping companies dual list, whether that's in the mining space, the oil and gas space. And about 2 years ago, all the great companies that I couldn't ever see in the mining space suddenly wanted to take meetings. So I looked around, and what was clear was this cannabis phenomenon was just taking out all of the risk capital on Bay Street. So we came back to London, we looked at it, and luckily enough, one of our clients came to us and said, we want to form what was the second listed cannabis investment company called Ananda Resources, or Ananda Investments, sorry. So we said, sure, we'll give it a go. Learn on the way, as I think everybody does in this industry.
Sure.
Listed Ananda, which went very well.
Okay.
And then, amazingly quickly, November 1st, the legalization of medical cannabis, those terrible stories of those poor children with epilepsy who couldn't get their drugs, saw a huge shift in sentiment here. And as a result of that, we're on about 20 active files at the moment. We're working on 4 IPOs.
Wow.
Working with some really great companies, mainly from North America, who are showing us the ropes.
So the stampede has started.
And the stampede has started. It's going to be different here. This is a conservative town.
No recreational anytime soon.
No recreational anytime soon, but really good quality pharmaceutical and medical cannabis companies. And you will have heard a lot about CBD. That's definitely the focus at the moment. So yeah, we're really busy. I feel like I've gone back in time 15 years.
Okay. The NHS, which UK's National Health Service, is essentially a government-paid healthcare system, like one of the best in the world. Some elements in government would like to dismantle it, but if they're not successful, is cannabis going to be included in the NHS sort of roster of available remedies?
Well, it already is. The problem is getting specialist doctors to prescribe it. So there are, as we sit here today, 20 to 30 patients receiving their medical cannabis through the NHS. Hundreds, thousands who would like to. The bar's been set very high for practitioners, medical specialist practitioners, to write prescriptions. But the framework's there. The NHS is ready. I think the doctors here need to be persuaded. The UK will want its own testing and, they would any other pharmaceutical. But the framework's there. The NHS will embrace it eventually. It's just going to take time.
Do you think the UK is going to be able to move quickly enough to become a global exporter or otherwise participate in the global opportunity represented by medical cannabis?
Do you know who's the world's largest producer of medical cannabis?
You're going to tell me GW Pharma?
Growing in the UK.
Right, and for a long time.
And for years and years and years.
Wow.
So GW was listed on AIM, our junior stock exchange. So London's had medical cannabis at its base. It went to New York because that's where the market developed. So London's always been open for pharmaceutical medical cannabis. And GW grows more of it than anybody else.
Right.
So I think, licenses in the UK to grow are not easy to get, and I'm not sure that the climate here lends itself particularly to that side of the business. But I think, innovation and clever IP and all the sort of things the UK are really good at will come in due course. But medical cannabis production, #1 in the world.
Wow. Okay, Nick. Well, that's a great story. Great company. Sounds like you and a great business you've got for yourself. That's appreciate your input. We'll come back to you soon.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Thanks. Defenestration.
You learned a new word recently, didn't you?
Well, it's not really a new word for me. I remember knowing what it meant at one point.
Yeah.
But then when you mentioned it, I couldn't remember what the meaning was because I can't remember where or how.
You know what? You'd have to know fenêtre in French means window.
Fenêtre.
Fenêtre. Fenetre, and there's a accent circonflexe.
So defenetre sounds to unwindow.
Well, it means to throw out the window and murder someone by throwing them out the window. Because I guess they used to do that a lot in the old days.
Throw you out the window.
Well,
if you don't watch your lips, I'm going to throw you out the window.
Hey, but the buildings weren't that damn high back then, so.
But you could. It doesn't apply just to people.
No. It's throwing anything out the window. I think. Yeah.
To throw something out the window is to defenestrate it.
To defenestrate. Yeah, that's a verb. Verb.
Have you ever defenestrated anybody? Have you ever defenestrated? Put it that way. Let's not put the pressure on. Have to fess up to a murder.
No.
You've never defenestrated.
You know what?
You've never thrown anything out
I
a
guess
window?
I have.
So you're a polluter.
Well, there's some. I was going to say, what about that lady that got thrown out a chair off the balcony? Oh, it's off the balcony, so that's de-balconized or something.
De-balcon. De-balcon. She de-balconed that chair. And she, that's still going through the courts now, isn't it?
She turned herself in, apparently.
Well, because they had a video of her. It was just a matter of time. She spoke to a lawyer, and the lawyer said, "You know what?
Good idea.
Turn yourself in.
You might get a little leaner charge."
Yeah, you might want to do that.
Yeah, well, fascinating.
So the cannabis market continues to do its summertime downward drift. We're going to take a quick look now at some of the cannabis stocks. Where the hell did my... There we go. Oh boy.
Where did it go?
I don't know. I had it all ready and then it's gone.
Is this it here? Is this maybe it?
No, this is it right there. So as you can see, the large cap index is continuing the trend that has started since 1st of May. You'll see here that touched a high of 12,483, and that's when the misery started. Let's go to a full screen shot here so you can see it better here. So here's the high after the rally back after. So January was the big climb, peaked out. Oh, I guess it peaked out here at the end of the beginning of April, went for a plummet, then it came back, rallied back to 12,257, and it's been in free fall mode sort of since then, with only a couple of little bounces in here.
Yeah.
But this is a very, very typical summer pattern in not just the cannabis industry, but in general, just in small cap stocks generally. And why? Why you want to know? Because this is when all of the financings that were done in here, when the stocks were at the highs, this is when the companies do their financings. So those financings typically have a 4-month hold period. Well, guess what? March, April, May, June. Oh, hold period's over on all those financings that happen in January. In February, they're off in July. And so it's called selling season. We saw actually even the executives take money off the table. Bruce Linton of Canopy exercised $20 million worth of.
Or I think he did 16, and somebody else in the company did 4.
Oh, right, that's right. Mark Zakulan took 4 off, and some people are saying, well, that's a sign. That's a sign. It's all over. And not to sound like too much of a advocate for Canopy, but again, full disclosure, we do some. Other projects with them. And Fraser made a good point, or he mentioned that when is a good time to sell or exercise options? Anytime a CEO exercises options,
he's got to declare it. He's an insider.
Well, and it's like, it's not the end of the world. It's like, hey, you've been working at this thing for 5-6 years now. When is it time to take money off the table? Like, you didn't take it off at $70-$80. It's now in the summer doldrums. It's the perfect time to take money off the table without causing too much ire, because now it's going to be, end of August, beginning of September before the market starts to catch a bid again, because everybody in the cannabis sector has made a ton of dough. So that means in the summertime, they're all going to go enjoy their dough. So they're going to need money to enjoy themselves. So they're going to sell some of those stocks where the holds come off. It doesn't mean the market's over. It doesn't mean anything more or less that this is a regular pattern in the small cap markets. You see it in metals. You see it in cannabis. You see it in energy. You see it in technology. So settle down, everybody. If you sell your stock at the lows, you're locking in your loss. If you were to be convinced that this is actually a broad market sell-off and that it's over, then maybe yes, sell it. But look at the volumes here. Look at the volumes in this chart. The volumes are diminishing as it drifts lower. So drifting lower on decreasing volume is nothing more or less than a sign of the market's getting weak and soft, because it's summer's here and the time is right for dancing in the streets. Yeah. They'll be dancing in Chicago.
Yeah, they are.
Down in New Orleans.
They're dancing in Toronto too, apparently.
They're dancing in Toronto. Muskoka is where they're dancing.
Executives that have an inordinate amount of money in their own company, they want to they don't want to have all their eggs in one basket, just like everybody else.
Yeah, well, a basket of eggs. What happens if you're skipping down the trail and you've got all your eggs in one basket and you skip over a rock, catch your toe on it, fall flat on the face, then what? You got an omelet.
You got an omelet. You got scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
But you still got eggs.
You still got eggs.
Still got eggs.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the interesting thing is the UK market now is coming on strong. We walked into, 5-6 different drugstores, each of whom had a shelf full of various brands of CBD.
You can buy CBD virtually anywhere in Great Britain. Is that correct?
You can't go a block without a CBD store. They're not CBD stores. They're health and wellness stores.
Are there different types for different ailments?
Well, Ed.
Now I'm asking you that question. Take your hat off and.
Well,
you don't have a hat on.
If CBD is CBD is CBD, it's cannabidiol. Now, not to be confused with the CBD complex of cannabinoids, which people are confusing CBD. They're saying the cannabinoids, the CBDs. Cannabinoids are the entire matrix of CBDs, including THC, including flavonoids. No, not so much, but terpenes, yes. CBD that they're referring to is strictly cannabidiol, and there's a lot of confusion out there. So even I walked into a store of a big brand wellness store, and the girl said to me, I said, so Just because I'm trying to understand whether in London it has the same rules as they do in the US, that you can only extract from a cannabis plant that has less than 0.3% THC. She says, this is not cannabis, this is hemp. It's like, well, do you know that hemp is actually Cannabis sativa, and a cannabis plant...
What do you mean, hemp is Cannabis sativa?
Well, you could make an indica hemp. Indica, so there's three identified
what's the difference between
species.
THC and indica?
That's like saying, what's the difference between a Corvette and a Mandarin Orange? It's like you're talking about two different things there. Cannabis indica, Cannabis sativa, Cannabis ruderalis are the three species of landrace of cannabis plants that have been identified by various generations of botanists. Cannabis sativa is typically associated with lower-lying equatorial regions. Pure sativa grows tall, can grow up to like 20 feet tall.
And you don't get that buzzed off it.
That's not also true. You can grow a very high THC sativa, and you could also make baskets out of it, or rope, or hemp, or oakum, or any of those great things. But they have selectively...
You don't make it out of the flower, you make it off the...
Farmers who are breeding cannabis for fiber are growing strains that have had their THC content reduced, and they're bred for their fiber content.
And they say you should have a fiber-rich diet. Is that what they're talking about?
Well, the fiber from the...
Maybe that's what they mean to say.
Typical hemp plant, which is... That would probably be beyond indigestive. That would be... Although, you can do a lot of things with hemp. Anyways...
Like cows eat grass, so I guess they're eating pot, right?
That's right.
Geese are eating
grass is actually a form of hemp.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's not.
We should start a little segment called Botany.
We have a segment under development
Botany
that's
Corner.
going to
Botany Corner.
Clarify all these misconceptions out there, because it's amazing how many people who are voices of authority have these total confusion.
Men of commerce. There's men of chemistry.
Men of chemistry?
We have chemistry.
You mean chemistry together?
I don't know. Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so. I don't know.
Okay.
But so
Cam Battley was in town.
Yes, he'll be here in 7 minutes. 7 minutes until Cam Battley joins us from London. Yes.
From London.
From London.
Yeah, I looked at this gentleman. I thought, boy, that looks like Cam Battley. Guess what?
Okay, so going back to the cannabis indexes here, the Midas Letter cannabis indexes, this is the end of the second quarter.
Yeah.
All these indexes are going to get rebalanced over the weekend, or actually on Monday, because Monday's the 1st. Right. And so it'll be interesting to see how what the chart looks like intraday on Monday when those rebalancings
I want to point out on the big... the viewers can see there's a there's several, and I can't see the number here, but it looks like it's between 9 and 10,000. Just there's a definite line of support there.
In here.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. And I think we should just be aware of that. I mean, we'd like to see that number hold.
So what would we say? Support is what, 10,000?
Yeah,
10,000 is where the lows keep bottoming out.
Seems to be. Yeah.
So from a technical perspective, are you going to say that if it drops below 10,000, or look at here, here's the resistance level, would be 9,000 in this time frame.
Yeah, well that one, look at back in February, it looks like it bounced. Yeah, February. Yeah. February.
Not February? February. That's how you say it when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Back in February.
Yeah. Mumblesia. That's when you develop mumblesia if you drink too much alcohol.
Mumblesia, that's a language, isn't it? Mumblesia. Do you speak Mumblesia?
I used to. I still do.
We had a buddy growing up, we called it, his nickname was Mumbles, because when he got drunk, he was mumbling and would be like, what the fuck did he just say? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Everybody mumbles when they're drunk.
Actually, one of my buddies could actually understand him when he was mumbling, and he'd be the interpreter for all of us.
I told you that I used to be the interpreter for the king of Mumblesia.
For the king of Mumblesia?
Yeah.
So you were like the court jester for the king of Mumblesia.
They made me a special sash that I wore. When I wore, only I could communicate him in his drunken state when he was mumbling.
Did you have to mumble as well?
Yes. Yes.
And so then how would you communicate, how would you translate to the non-mumbleese who weren't able to understand? Did you actually have the power of clarity of thought that you could actually
I
jump
could
quickly
translate
from
back.
mumbleese to
I'd have to
English?
wait a day. I'd have to.
You'd have to wait a day.
They say, "What did you say yesterday?" I said,
Anyway. Back in February. Oh yeah.
That was hilarious.
That was funny. So let's jump out of here again. We wanted to take a quick look at the other indexes before we go to Cam. Big performer today among the indices is the CSE index. Let's go find out, see if we can figure out why here. Who are the high traders? Who are
that's up 3%.
Yeah, who are the losers? Quadron doesn't apply. Afanor Growers, boy, that thing really fell out of bed and never came back. BrainGrid Corp, what the hell is that doing in the...
moving along at 7.
Why is BrainGrid in the marijuana index?
Well, because they have these IoT devices, Internet of Things, that cannabis growers use to monitor.
That doesn't look like they're using them much.
Well, they use them a little less than they used to, apparently.
Okay, let's take a look at this signal stock right here for a second. Jane. Now I'm going to click on this. It might not work because we've had some issues with our... Oh, she works! Okay, so Mojave Jane Brands, this used to be High Hampton. And it has restarted life as Mojave Jane Brands. And this company, this is one I want to keep an eye on. Now, they're not a client, though we do have a partnership with a partial subsidiary of Mojave Jane Brands called Speedweed down in Los Angeles. And Speedweed, we share a studio with Speedweed, and they are going to be helping us produce our Los Angeles daily show down there, which we're going to start in September. If not sooner, Ed, are you ready for LA?
I'm ready for LA. La La Land.
La 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 la.
Who is the composer?
Na 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 na.
Who is the composer? Figaro. Wow. That's Rossini.
Rossini.
R-O-S-S-I-N-I.
R-O-S-S-I-N-I.
Barber of Seville.
Barber of Seville. That'll be our background music for the
beautiful,
week next week.
beautiful
Anyways,
opera.
Mojave Jane's got lots of interesting things going on for them.
Yeah.
What they are, I can't remember right now, but we will talk about that from Los Angeles, where we might be next week.
There's a base on that stock too. I mean, if you look, there's a bottom there a couple months ago, back in around January.
Let's zoom in on that sucker.
Yeah, and you see that, and it looks like it's starting to form another bottom over to the right. I think that some of the things that are going on there that I don't know about, because that may be inside.
So there's some support at 25.
At a quarter, yeah.
So put your bids in, people who are recording. No, I can't say that. Don't put your bids in.
You ain't saying shit. You ain't saying shit.
We don't say that kind of stuff around here. We get in trouble.
You say put your bid in.
Don't listen to us. We're not to be trusted.
Put your bid in or put your shit in.
Edward, language, please.
Well, I just heard you drop the off.
Did London teach you nothing? What's wrong with you?
So proper. Aren't they proper over there, though? You got to
proper.
Yeah.
Proper.
Pints. They serve proper pints.
They serve a proper pint over there. And a proper pie, too. You can get a proper pie.
Proper pie?
Proper pie.
Now, can you get a rhubarb strawberry cocktail? Tell about that experience. How about that? Hey, what's your favorite pie?
I'm turning into Jabba the Hutt. Strawberry rhubarb is my favorite.
And what did that drink? The drink the gentleman made you, unbeknownst to you,
unbeknownst to him,
unbeknownst to him,
unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
I say I want a drink that's a little bit fruity, that's not too sour, not too sweet, but refreshing. He says, "Okay, let me whip something up for you." Puts this drink in front of me. I'm like, my God, this is the best drink I've had in my life.
Yeah.
And I said, "What's in it?" He says, "Well, it's got some strawberry and some rhubarb liquor." And I'm like, "Wait a sec, strawberry rhubarb, that's my favorite pie." And that was it.
Pity.
Finally, a proper strawberry rhubarb drink was born.
Show me some proper pie.
Proper drink, and we got properly drunk that night.
What about a nice watermelon base? Wouldn't watermelon? It's not too sweet. It's not too. You know what I mean?
It's kind of watery.
Watery.
I think that's why they call it watermelon. Like, I mean, you couldn't make a drink out of watermelon juice. It would be like this.
I don't know. Mash it up. Well, you know what they do? They take a syringe and they inject vodka right into the big watermelon.
Tell you what, while I'm talking to Cam Battley over here, you and I will go to the bathroom and inject some vodka with lemonade made with watermelon. Here's the conversation I had with Cam in London, England. London! Cam Battley joins me now. He's CCO of Aurora Cannabis. Cam, welcome back.
Nice to see you.
Cam, we're in London. London is going the way of Canada and the rest of the world. Legalization is underway. What excites Aurora about London and the UK?
Well, the UK is going the way of Canada at a snail's pace right now, and that's part of what we're here to talk about. I just spoke to Cannabis Europa, and one of the messages that I had is that we want the UK to be a leader in medical cannabis on a global basis and not a laggard. Now, the UK has created a medical cannabis system, but there's still only a few dozen patients in it, and they've created some real big to patient access. So what we want the UK to do is get serious about this. We should have a medical cannabis system in the UK as elsewhere that is truly accessible to patients. And the nice thing is that doesn't imply any lack of regulation. Right. You know, at Aurora, we embrace regulation. We're very good at operating under rigorous regulations. But those regulations should not be established as obstacles to stop patients from being able to access medical cannabis. And that's about where we are right now in the UK. It's where other countries like Australia were before they actually got busy creating systems that worked.
Okay. Do you think it's fair to attribute that to the fact that it's nascent and it takes some getting used to in a conservative country like the United Kingdom?
I'm not sure if it's about liberal or conservative. I think it's about a certain hesitancy to do it right. But the thing is, why create a medical cannabis system if you're not going to make it accessible to patients? You can't claim victory and say, there, we did it. We created a legal medical cannabis system if people aren't able to access it to manage their health conditions. So let's take another look at the system in the UK that, for example, stops general practitioners from prescribing for a patient. If we want medical cannabis to offer the same benefits to patients on a wide-ranging basis, as you see in Canada and Germany and now Australia, then that's one key step that has to be taken. Ultimately, also, I'd love to see medical cannabis brought into the NHS process, and that too would be incredibly beneficial for British patients.
Sure. So the NHS is government pays for everybody's medical care. Mm-hmm. Is that what really makes the United Kingdom such a opportunity in terms of being able to bring cannabis to patients who need it?
We're so bullish on the UK. We know that we'll get there eventually, and we clearly want the system to mature faster and sooner rather than later. But this is a country with a significant population of 66 million people that has a tremendous pedigree in the pharmaceutical industry, that has great universities and hospitals where we can conduct clinical trials. It's got a tremendous workforce of skilled and unskilled labor. We'd like to be operating here in a big way. We are already operating in the UK. We'd like it to be one of the most important countries for us on a worldwide basis.
Mm-hmm. So how do you provide cannabis to the medical patient coterie that needs it now? I mean, Aurora in the UK.
It's a very challenging process, and we have a lot of hurdles to get over, a lot of paperwork that needs to be done in order to import medicine and make it accessible to patients. I have a feeling that this will change fairly shortly, and that's a good thing. I think what the UK can look forward to in the short term is being able to be supplied in terms of its medical cannabis needs by Canadian companies like us, for example, the same way that Germany is right now. But Germany also did something really important in which we participated. And as you know, they held a tender process for companies that were going to produce government-mandated medical cannabis and be able to produce it in the country, inside Germany. And Aurora absolutely killed in that tender process. We got 5 of 13 lots that were issued by the German government. And we actually would have won 11 out of those 13 if we hadn't been limited to 5 for a single company. Mm-hmm. And that was a very, very significant process, by the way, because it's the first time that licensed producers, in this case 79 of them, all went head to head. All of these companies, these cannabis companies, all went head to head and were judged effectively by a very sophisticated judge, that being the German federal government. And Aurora came out by far on top. That was very, very gratifying to us. It's the first time, really, that there has been a sophisticated head-to-head in this business, and we absolutely destroyed. So very, very gratifying. Now, back to the UK. That's something that the UK can look forward to as well, is having domestic production established here. In the short term, it can be satisfied by EU GMP certified companies like Aurora, but ultimately there will be production here, and it will be damn good.
So does that mean we're going to build an Aurora Sky or Aurora Sun here?
We'll have to figure out what to call it.
All right. Cam, great as ever to talk to you. We'll catch up with you next time. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you more or less delivered on.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
and I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really.
Recreational cannabis is here. It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits. So there you have it. Aurora's moving into the UK. Cam
in a big
not
way.
Holding
in
back
a big
on
way.
his criticism of
so
the
what's his main? Like I don't.
Well, the problem is, here's the problem, is that the yes, it's legal, but they are only awarding prescriptions to the most chronic cases where people are making a case for, I'm going to die from opiate poisoning if you don't give me weed to smoke instead, because I need to have my pain dealt with, or I need to have my.
Well, with all these, I thought it was easy to buy it though. I thought.
See? CBD.
Oh, CBD. So the only way you get THC is you can get CBD.
You can get CBD, but you can't sell THC. All the CBD products are allowed to have some THC, but less than 0.03%.
So you probably can't have pure CBD. You got to have some THC, is what you're telling me.
Well, no, that's not true either. You can create a 99.
Let's see if I can say something that's true.
Well, we'll have to test you on the end of the week.
You haven't done it yet.
China is selling 99.99% pure CBD isolate that has less than 0.05% THC.
So it's not pure, obviously, because it's not 100%.
Purity is always relative. Purity is relative. Right. Nothing is pure. Except, let's see, distilled water.
Except the Virgin Mary.
Distilled water, the Virgin Mary. I don't know about that. I think, that's a whitewash job. Like, how can you have a baby and still be a virgin? Like, come on, please.
Yeah. Well,
please, don't insult the intelligence.
I know, but once the baby came out,
she was pure again.
It wouldn't feel like she was a virgin.
I see.
Anyway, just saying.
I don't think we should wade into the religious realm.
I think you're right. I
I think we should respect all religions.
Sorry.
Respecting all religions.
Yeah. What if I'm a devil worshiper?
Yeah. Well, Satanist.
You know what's crazy about the word devil? It's spelled backwards. It's lived.
That's interesting.
No, it's levid. Sorry. Damn. I thought I figured something out there.
Lived. Devil.
No.
DEVILLIVED.
Lived.
It is lived. It's lived. Congratulations, Ed.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now let's get serious here. Let's see. Who is this Asia Cannabis Corp? Ordinary shares 10 cents, went up 3 cents, but that's a 33% lift today. Whoever's owning their shares is happier than a pig in a poke, especially if they own hundreds of thousands
I think it's
or millions.
pig in poop.
Now look at Leviathan Cannabis has made a comeback. This is the company that was growing. What were they going to do? They've got land out in Rock Creek. Is that the same company? I can't remember. They've been in here before. Anyways, Leviathan raised money at a much higher price. Stock fell out of bed. Let's see if this chart's working today. Oh, yes it is. So look at that. They raised all this money and then nothing happened and the company just drifted. We were sailing along on on moonlight, babe. Anyway, so yeah, so it's a little lift here, a little frothiness. Look at it, the volume's come back down here. Let's zoom in on this. Let's actually go to a full screen thing. Look at all the things you can do with the Midas Letter Index is. Oh my God, is that for real, Edward? So look down here, look at this. Look at this. This is some decent volume.
Yeah.
So somebody became a believer right in here.
Yeah.
Look at that. They bought the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And they're obviously holding on. The buying begot some more buying. The buying seems to be going quiet. But mind you, this is the twin long weekend portion of July. Where
This is as
Canada has Canada Day on July 1st. Monday's a holiday. The U.S. has
July 4th.
4th of July on Friday. But isn't this
No.
Thursday.
Wait a minute.
Turkey tree and a turd.
But it's Monday, July the 1st.
Monday is July the 1st.
Okay, so then that's the case. But sometimes we'll celebrate the holiday if it falls on a Sunday. The Monday will be a holiday.
Well, but it usually ends up that there's 2 long weekends, and anybody who's got a pot to piss in combines them all into one nice big 10-day celebration.
Yeah.
Those are the guys who don't need to work, don't want to work, don't care to work.
If you like what you do, it's not work, is it?
Hey, I've always said, pleasure is my business and business is my pleasure.
You know, there's a definition in science for work. It's an actual definition
of work. Define it. Do you know it?
Yeah, it's mass times distance. I'm not making this shit up.
Well, you sounds like you are.
No, that's
mass times distance equals work?
Yeah, that's it.
Really?
Yeah, I took physics, okay? Hard to believe. I know.
Okay, so does work in that context mean something to do with physics?
So you want to figure out how much work you've performed, you have to figure out how much distance you apply to some mass, and then you'll come up with a number, and that is defined in ergs. For instance, ERG.
Okay, so let's say that I weigh 180 pounds.
Okay, you move this like that. I'm doing some work right now.
Okay.
But if you just say
I weigh 100 pounds, and I walk back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
You're doing work.
And I accomplish nothing.
No, but that's not. They don't care what you accomplish.
This is a physical definition.
Physics.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not real work.
It was invented by a French physicist, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
What was his name? Or her name?
Labor?
Labor? You're joking with me now. You're pulling my leg.
Okay, you ask any science guy. That's not true, because I asked a PhD engineer once that there was a definition. He said it's not true. So I just Googled it, and there it was.
Googled it, because everything's true on Google.
Well, no, but this is mathematics. I'm not making math times distance. Or force times distance. What's one of those?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to look into this.
Okay.
We'll have to put our sleuths on.
Where are we now? Where are we going?
We're going to chat now with Elisabetta Faenza. Sounds Italian. She is Italian, but her accent is very Australian. She's the CEO of Australian cannabis company Leafcann Group. These guys have quite the story to tell. You see if you don't agree with me. They're not public yet, but they're going to be public in the next 12 to 20 months. At least that's the plan, and we'll bring you more on that. But listen to this story. I'm joined now by Elisabetta Faenza. She's the CEO and founder of Leafcann Group, based in Adelaide, Australia. Welcome, Elisabetta.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell me, what does Leafcann do?
So Leafcann is a vertically integrated producer. So we aim to be producing either API, so activated pharmaceutical ingredients, whole plant extracts, or finished products for third parties. Okay. So the idea is that we produce from genetics right through to whatever the finished product is that our customer requires. We do that at GMP, so this is highly controlled chambers, and we're engaging in research so that we can take the genetics of the plant, optimize its growing conditions for the packet of molecules we want it to produce, then extract those molecules to create the right formulation and match that to a patient need. And by matching it to a patient need, I mean looking at the metabolism of the patient cohort and seeing, do we need, a low dose product, a medium dose product, a high dose product, depending on the liver enzyme profile of those patients, which is often compromised. Right. So we call this a gene-to-gene, precision medicine, patient-focused philosophy. So that's what we're about.
Wow, so you cultivate cannabis to get there.
Yep.
with the target being EU GMP standards?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so what about the agricultural standard? Do you have to observe that?
Yeah, so the GACP standard is slightly below a GMP. So by meeting GMP, for cultivation, we simultaneously meet GACP.
And so how do you, that's intriguing. It sounds like you're very advanced in that regard. You've got the FDA still humming and hawing in the US on how to regulate THC, and you're already customizing formulations according to patient liver enzyme profiles. That's amazing.
Yeah, so the idea is that, in Australia we're not allowed to take, bits of CBD or THC or other cannabinoids or terpenes or other and formulate them in a lab. What we're allowed to do is work out how to grow the plant so it does the formulation. And so that is about not just the genetics of the plant, but optimizing the controlled environment in which it's grown and keeping each crop in separate chambers. So rather than a sea of green, actually looking at chamber growth where everything's controlled for that particular cultivar, but the next chamber has different conditions because we want that group of plants to produce different molecules. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
Yeah, and then when we extract looking for the particular ratios and profile of all cannabinoids, not just the majors, for the end product. And then it goes into, what is the carrier it goes into, what is the dose form, how is it delivered to the patient. And that's a comprehensive chain, and it's GMP from beginning to end.
So you're able to genetically select
Correct.
a phenotype,
That's
knowing
correct.
it's going to yield X% CBD, X% THC, X%.
If grown under these conditions. So that's the key of our expression. So you've got it exactly right. Now what that's meant is we've had to engage with people who have, through trial and error, been doing this over quite a long time, and then we validate that scientifically. So we genotype, phenotype and chemotype the plants, and then each of those, depending on what the endpoint medicine is, we then grow those out in a specific way.
I see. Is Leafcann a publicly traded entity?
Not as yet, no. We've been very fortunate to have private backers, which has enabled us to actually do this. I think if we'd been public from earlier, like many companies do, we would have been forced to kind of rush that process. Getting that science right is time consuming. We've been at this for nearly 4 years. But in the next 12 to 18 months, we're seriously looking at what are our options in terms of public listing and public markets.
Right. So you're going to bring that same expertise to the United Kingdom and provide that same type of patient profiling and medication customization.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
That is our goal.
So given the amount of thought and trial and error process that must have gone into this, you must have been doing this for years.
So fortunately, our chief scientist and I come from a background where we worked together in nutraceutical development and compliance. So I was compliance, he was development. He's a biochemist with numerous patents under his belt. And so we've been used to looking at plant-based medicines and determining how do you standardize them, and then how do you get them through a listing or registration process through a therapeutic goods administration. So we've done that going back 20 years. And then he went off to the United States and was working for a number of companies. Obviously then, medicinal cannabis was starting to get going really strongly in the United States. I went and headed up an agricultural research organisation called the Malone Institute. So I was the general manager of that organisation as we got all of our kind of licensing and deductible goods registration so we could take donations, and working with researchers looking at soil science, at water science, looking at plant biology, and how a plant is only as good as the inputs, the environmental inputs that go into it, and the nutrients that we derive from those plants are only as good. And then if you take that on, population is only as good as the nutrients that we're getting from the environment in which plants and animals are grown. So those two things came together, and about 4 years ago I started to really look at a whole range of plant-based medicines to put through a GMP process to extract without any excipients left, and create medicines that were safe for vulnerable people like I had been as a child, because this is where my passion comes from. I was born with a rare disease. My parents sold everything they had to keep me alive and put me into experimental treatments, and here I am today, as an adult, which obviously worked, and I saw the stress they went through. I saw that everything they had they sold to keep me alive, and as the irony of that is, here I am as an adult older than my mother got to live, because the stress of that, and the financial strain meant, her life was cut short.
That's horrible.
And I see, that Hannah and Charlotte, that these amazing women who are fighting for their children, and I want to be able to provide a medicine that's not only going to do what it says it does, but will do it every single time. That there's no variation in that, because their children, like me, can't afford that variation, because that can make you either very sick or it can put your life at risk. But also, I want to make it in a way and at a scale that it's affordable for them. I don't want them to have to sell their house. My parents had to move. My mother and I had to go to another country. My mother had to go to a country where she didn't speak the language. My father worked in a mine to pay for a year of treatment that saved my life.
Wow.
And so I don't want families to have to do that.
Sure.
But there is a process. You can't do this overnight. We've been at it for years now. And, we've probably got another 2 to 3 year timeline in the UK by the time we get through licensing, build facilities, before we've got product in the pipeline in the UK. But if we don't start now, it won't ever happen.
Sure.
So you just got to bite the bullet.
Right. So do you base your formulations on clinical studies conducted at the medical university level?
Yeah, so we are partnering with universities all over the world, and at the moment we're in talks with one UK university that is really proving to be kind of a one-stop shop for a lot of the research we're looking for. So back from the plant research and the genetic research, looking at how we actually fingerprint these plants, all the way through to looking at how we make sure that we've fingerprinted the patient correctly so that we can match the medicine to the patient need. We're very excited because we haven't found that anywhere else in the world all in one place.
Right.
We've obviously had good relationships with Israel and
Right.
Australian universities, which has helped us to get where we are, but very excited that there's the opportunity in the UK to go further. I mean, you have one of the great founders who is semi-retired now of endocannabinoid research, who was part of the team that discovered anandamide in the UK. This is, this is a UK researcher.
Wow, you are a fountain of information. We're going to leave it there for now, Elisabetta. We are going to follow your story very closely because, like I say, I've been looking for this myself for years, just because it's the logical conclusion of this whole exercise.
Exactly.
So great, somebody's actually heading in that direction. Thanks very much for joining me today.
That's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered
Here
on
are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
and I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really...
Recreational cannabis is here.
It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits.
We're back. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Anyways, so that's one of those companies. If you ask me if Elisabetta Faenza and Leafcann can execute on what she's saying in a big way, which it sounds like they are, we won't know until it's more public. That's where the pharma industry is going to move in and take over. Take over. We will take over. We will never be defeated. We will bugger on. As Winston Churchill used to say, we will never surrender. You will all submit to us.
Right. Right.
So Leafcann's Australian company. Is it going to list in Australia or Canada? We don't know, but we're going to follow that story closely. We wanted to pull up a chart here. So we're going to finish the show with a look at a couple of charts. And the first charts we're going to look at, because we are, good guys and, do recognize where our butter is toasted. Yeah. Or toasted is buttered. But Halo Labs, as I said earlier, trades on the NEO exchange.
Up 4 cents today.
Yeah, the NEO exchange is, you might think it's hard to find, but it's not. You just punch in the symbol Halo and whatever stock trading platform you use, whatever designation you would use to signify a Canadian stock, you will find Halo there. Halo is actually the highest volume stock traded on the NEO exchange.
NEO.
And in fact,
is that a virtual exchange?
No, it's a stock exchange.
Because they have virtual exchanges that are always.
They're all virtual now.
Yeah, you're a virtual.
Virtual barrel of monkeys over here. But we've got an interview. If you go to the MidasLetter.com website, you want to know about the NEO exchange, search NEO exchange, and you'll come up with an interview. Me with the CEO of the NEO exchange. Him.
Me and him. We're interviewing.
We're having a conversation about what they do and where they're doing it. Yep. Anyways, caught a frog on the plane. Thought I was on my way to London. Turns out I was going to. Oh, that was close. Anyways, yes, I seem to have gotten a little horse in London. Actually,
you caught a little frog, not a little horse.
Well,
in London, it's a horse, and never mind.
Now you're opening up all kinds of doors there.
Can of worms. Maybe you got a worm in your throat.
PG rated. PG rated. So yeah, what charts? There's a chart that we want to look at. Halo Labs. Let's pop to the full screen here. So this stock has been building momentum, and now it's going into the summer slide. But chances are, because
that's a nice little candle today, I got to tell you.
Yeah, that's a tremendous candle today. So Halo was a bit of the star of the show in London. Like, they actually brought the Deputy Minister of Lesotho to London.
We had dinner with him.
And we had dinner with him. And Louisa Mafelo, she's the head of a women's fund there, and she's the incoming chairperson of the company.
What?
But she's been on the board of directors of South African Airlines.
Okay, and I was one of the ladies that was at the head table.
Yes. We have an interview coming next week, also with her, talking about Lesotho and why Lesotho is attracting so much attention from the Canadian LPs. It's a really interesting story.
Yeah. Well, now, did you tell me? I guess the growing conditions there are somewhat ideal.
They are ideal. So Lesotho starts
rolling hills
at 1,000 feet in elevation.
Nice, cool
air. Cool air. Woo-hoo. Pure water, as the Deputy Minister is going to say.
We're sailing.
And and also people don't make a lot of money there, so it doesn't cost much to grow.
That's true.
But cannabis is going.
What's the population of Lesotho?
The population of Lesotho. I
got to learn how to pronounce it properly, because I think it's the spelling.
I did get the answer.
Well, we could figure that out pretty fast.
I can't recall. I don't remember. Okay, so let's go. Population of Lesotho is. So yeah, we say Lesotho. It's actually 2.2 million. That's what I thought. So it's.
That's it?
Yeah. 2.23 million as of 2017. So Lesotho, is surrounded on all sides by South Africa. So South Africa.
Wait a minute now. Are you saying it's a piece of land inside of South Africa?
That's right.
It's surrounded. So why
I'm pulling up the map here on my screen. There's Lesotho down here, totally surrounded by South Africa. South Africa has a population of 60 million people and a culture predisposed towards cannabis use. So it's legal there. And it's been decriminalized there. So Lesotho is where it's going to be grown, or a lot of it's going to be grown, to supply this entire region of the world, which is not unaffluent. So this is among the reasons, pure water.
People that go down there say that's some of the most beautiful country.
Well, Ed, you and I are going to go down and check it out.
And I want to stay at the palace.
The Lesotho Palace?
Is it Lesotho or Lesotho?
The Deputy Prime Minister,
Lesotho,
Manyane Maleleki, says Lesotho, as does
because I think THO is like when you say thorough, they say thorough. Lesotho.
Didn't really actually make much difference, did it?
Nope.
So next week we've got a whole bunch of interviews coming up with the rest of our London trip. Like I say, we weren't able to do our live thing there because of a lack of bandwidth, and that was basically because it was short notice for us. However, we plan to support Cannabis Europa in all of its permutations and that includes Paris, and I believe it's Berlin as well, all coming up regularly, and so we hope to be there. Prohibition Partners put on an excellent event, I was told. Unfortunately, we weren't able to make that. We weren't able to do a lot of things due to short planning and lots of conflicts because we had no time to plan it. So we said yes to everything and found out we shouldn't have. But that leaves us with goodbye. Happy Canada Day, everybody, this weekend in Canada. Happy 4th of July next week, but we'll give you that next week because we're going to be live every day next week. Every day. We're going back to every day.